Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Opinion Machine, the show where we talk about all things gaming. And my name is Killjoy, and today we're going to be talking about a little franchise known as Advance Wars. This is a series of video games that are very near and dear to me personally, but something that I absolutely love about the games is the soundtrack. Now, this is probably going to be like me gushing over a lot of this music, the entire video here, but like this is a franchise that started out way back on the NES days, but when it became to the Game Boy Advance, they had Advance Wars 1 and 2, which in my opinion are some of the best in the series. I like all 4 games that they've made, but these 2 are the ones I played the most, I think. Maybe Dual Strike as well. But this is also kind of to show, like, the Game Boy Advance, a lot of people don't think has a very good sound chip. And I'm just going to show off some tracks, the different styles of tracks, and just be like, you know what, I think this used the sound chip to its best. There are probably other Game Boy Advance games that people may argue sound better, but in my opinion, these are the best ones. So a couple of these tracks are from Advance Wars 2, some are from the first game, but they use the same sound chip anyway. So we're going to start things off. There's different teams. This is Black Hole, Rising, the second one, but Black Hole is the name of the villains. This guy here on the screen, Hawk, this is his theme, and essentially each theme kind of sums up the personality of the characters. Hawk is very menacing and very like kind of just talks down to people, and he's basically the second in command to Sturm, who's the main villain, who looks like Darth Vader there. But you'll see with this track kicks in, it's got I don't know how to describe it. It sounds very menacing, very intense, very evil sounding. So let's listen. So already you've got that thing going on there, and like that kind of weird like goom noise. It's about to hit him with some guitars that now sort of set the track up. We've got going back and forth. And something I should probably mention is this game is full of slap bass. You're going to hear that the bass of this is like boom, ba-dum, ba-dum, like that. It just slaps the entire time, and a lot of the tracks have that. So yeah, but this track builds, and as you can see, the track's only 1 minute 10 seconds long. A lot of these tracks themes aren't very long, but this sets up perfectly his character. Just within 20 seconds, you've already set the feel for the track. It's like this build to this very powerful, very evil person, essentially. And it then kicks in. You got a lot of the drums like ba 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 ba, and you got a lot of the bass building, and then it goes into this main melody, which has that wah, 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 wah. It's really, I don't know what effect that is, but it has this very, like, it's not a pleasant sound, you know. It's very much, hey, this guy's, you don't want to mess with this guy. Yeah, the drums just going kind of crazy. The percussion has such a huge impact on this track. Then you got that bump bump and all these other little things that keep coming in. Like, you have the main melody playing, but these other pieces of instrumentation come in, and it kind of keeps the track. It feels like it keeps you on your toes. It's like, oh, this is this giant, this is this dude who's like very powerful, and it's kind of got a bit of madness, a bit of craziness to it, but also it's almost very calm and calculated as well, is probably a good way to describe it. Like, for all the madness, it all kind of makes sense in this track. That guitar part, it's like that melody is very evil. And then it loops back into it. I mean, Hawk's theme is one of my favourites, and like, obviously this track uses a lot of influences from rock. There are other tracks we're going to hear in a minute that aren't so rock influenced, but a lot of them, like Adder, Flak and Lash, and even Sturm's theme, they have a very particular feel to them. Hawks just happens to be my favourite one, but they're all very much like, if they be this team would have heavy metal. This is the metal would be their style of genre of music themes and things, and that's what makes them really cool, because it has that very heavy crunchiness to it. Hawks has got a lot of that bass, that which is also really cool. So you kind of got a nice mix of things there. But Hawk's theme is, like I said, probably my favourite Black Hole theme, and I think it sums up his character very well. And even in later games, when you see him and he's not so evil and stuff, he still has a presence. It very much sums up his personality, this track, very, very well. So that's Hawk's theme, and we'll move on to someone else's. Alright, so now we've got Sensei's theme, and he is a he's on is it Yellow Comet or Green Earth? Yellow Comet. Very traditional Japanese inspired, a lot of these characters. You have Canby, who is like the main sort of leader. He's designed, or how you like a shogun, I believe it is. He has a daughter, and he has Sensei on the team, who is this ex helicopter pilot essentially. And for some reason, while the others get more traditional music, they gave Sensei a very slightly ska, slightly reggae influenced piece of music, and it's hard. Like, without seeing a picture of him, like, he's not on this box art. It's kind of weird to think of what he might like, how this goes with the character. He's dressed up in parachute gear, but we'll just get into it, because this is one of the most fun themes in the game, and that's something as well. You'll notice that there's always like a quick intro, and that's 2 seconds, like boom, bum, 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 bum. A lot of the tracks have some kind of like building before the main melody. And in my mind, that would be played on a saxophone. That wah 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 wah, and it sounds like it's definitely a brass instrument that would play it. But there's already some, like, you've kind of got the drums kind of going like kind of feeling going on with it. It's a very different piece of music. That's why I like it. Quick break. And they got like a trumpet playing. And in the background you got bop, 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 bop. So you've kind of got that reggae feel. I feel like it's slightly more ska style of genre, this track, but you know, that style of Caribbean music, essentially having that kind of syncopated offbeat and something going like short stabbing, like bop, bop, bop on the offbeat, sets up the track. You could have a clarinet play that. I like how the bass line carries over the doom doom doo 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 doo. Like, it almost sounds like a double bass instead of a slap bass with this one, which is cool. It's so brass and woodwind, like, inspired this track. I guess, like, I know that Japanese ska music, I don't know how, if it's popular now, but I know that there was a time when there was quite a lot of that going on, so that might be the influence there. I really like this theme, which I might put it on again in a minute, because I just really like it. I love the fact that if you imagine how this track would sound with real instruments, you've got like the drum kit there. I don't think there's a guitar, unless the guitar is meant to be playing that jang, dang, the off, like, syncopated part of that. But it's basically a track designed for trumpets and saxophone, and it could even have a clarinet doing the doodle-doo, doodle-doo. In fact, let's just bring it back here a minute. Let's go through what I think the instruments would be. We'll just go from the start. I'll just talk while it's playing. So we've got saxophone, 100% saxophone, playing that part. And I think maybe another sax, maybe a clarinet. I think it would work both ways. And then that would probably be a trumpet, I think. And there's your clarinet there. Or flute, maybe. Probably more of a clarinet. I think it's a lower sound. Bassoon. Back into the saxophone. Right there. Trumpet. Bit of both. And you play both in the end. In fact, you might play a lot of the instruments there to fill that out. It's just... What I really like about it is that you can clearly hear the influences and you can clearly see the instrumentation that can be used there, and I think that's what makes this track really cool. It's very different to the rest of the... Like, with Camby, you have a very traditional sounding sort of Japanese piece of music, as you would imagine from the kind of like the Shogun period of time. His daughter in this has very English music, as like a not a clarinet, a harpsichord essentially, which is pretty cool. But then yeah, for some reason Sensei has this ska influenced music, and I think it's really cool, and I think it shows that the game has different styles that it can use. So, and speaking about different styles, we're going to jump to somebody else now that has a completely different style again. Alright, different picture. Now we're looking at the original Advance Wars, but like I said, the themes are the same in both the first and the second one for most of the characters, because most of the characters are in both of them. The last two were in new additions. But Drake's theme. So Drake is essentially an ex-pirate or an ex-like sailor. And his whole shtick is he's really good with boats in the game because it's a turn-based strategy. But this bit of music sounds like a piece of music for either a sailor or a pirate. It's got... I'll explain as we go, but you can clearly tell this was designed with piratey themes and that's what I feel about it. So let's go. That drum roll, like a very naval feel to this track already, very military feel to it, which is what he was. That bum 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 bum. It's kind of like on the offbeat as well, which gives it a nice feel. But yeah, it's very naval influence, very military influence, this track. Steel drums. So that like it's like it almost has like a sea shanty sort of feel to it. Very not necessarily full on, but there is the way that those notes are written and the way that they're played. Everything kind of has that. You know, maybe I know this because I've played the game. I've seen the character. The character looks like he's got like a sailor's hat on and all this sort of stuff. But it all kind of fits really well together. Like there's that military drum going on. You've got this like kind of thing going on. Very steel drums also help it. Very open piece of music actually. There's not a huge amount going on, but it all kind of fits together quite nicely. Steel drums there, see? And we have the change in the music now. I just love the fact that the drums are constantly keeping up. The drums really play a huge part of this track. It's hard to describe why that sounds so navally as it does. I mean, like I said, it comes down to a lot of the drums. It's very kind of like chill floatingness to the track. It's just again, it sums up the design of the character. He's, like I said, I think he's like, it becomes more chill as the games go on, but he's kind of like an ex-pirate-y kind of dude, and it's something I really appreciate is that a lot of the music, like I said earlier, describes or sums up the characters. And this does a fantastic job of being like, yeah, this guy's naval. Like, this guy has a naval military background or some kind of thing like that. And I really like the fact that this track has that openness to it. Sort of, it kind of bobs along. That bum 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 ba bum ba ba. It's not like charging along, but it keeps kind of pace. And the sort of break in the music, the steel drums, the sort of military snare drum roll. and then the main melody, the ba 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 ba, like it all just fits together really nicely to create a piece of music that, you know, if I was trying to make something piratey, and I have done this in the past, there's a lot of it comes down to like there's a certain type of feel, and it's hard to explain it, but like it's quite fun to try and make something sound like very naval inspired or piratey inspired, if you like. So yeah, Drake's theme, one of my favorites. Sounds really good on the Game Boy Advance as well. But let's head on over to our next character. All right, so we're gonna listen to a guy called Grit. Grit's theme is a character who is all about long range, but his actual character in the game is very relaxed, very chill. Looks, I guess, very American. I would say this has got like they kind of have him look like a cowboy in the Japanese version. It has that kind of like cowboy-esque feel to it. I wouldn't necessarily say the music is completely like that, but it has a very American feel to me. I'm not sure. I'll try and explain what I mean as we go through it. But very chill character, very smart, intelligent character as well. And so yeah, let's hit it. Already very different intro. This is not a fast-paced track. This is not moving along. This is not in your face. Just like a bit of guitar, just doing a bit of slide guitar in it. I think the slide sound is what makes it sound American. Now, wow, wow, wow. Very like, I get the influence from sort of cowboys. You got that clicking. Click. But everything's very chill. The track's not moving along fast. You just got that drum going da 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 da, you know, kind of keeping the beat, and then you got the bass, which is like boom, boom. It's like very, very laboured almost. It's very just like, hey, it's so cool. We can just take our time, and then the main melody, the da 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 da. It's like the track's not trying to get anywhere, and it has that kind of. There's a vibe to it, and I can't explain it. I guess has a very, I think, a very American vibe, and that might be a lot of to do with the style at the beginning. There is that cowboy influence, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's that. It sounds more like country, I guess, maybe country inspired. The clicking is like, or what would be clicking is one of my favorite things. The guitar player's going nuts on this track. Yeah, I think the slide guitar is what makes it have that feel. I mean, this track loops amazingly well. Again, it's got a it's got a military background. It's got that behind it, but the drums themselves, like, if we break this track down again, like, let's just play it. Let me talk through some of the ideas. So you have the intro, which this track particularly is quite different because it has this intro, you know, before going into the main track. So you got that drum. So that's the driving force behind the entire track. Everything else is just chilling. Even the bass is just boom, 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 boom. But it's also got it's got a walking feel to it. I think is probably a good way to describe it. If you think about it, the track's not running anywhere. It's not trying to get anywhere. It's just a guy just like la 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 la, boom, 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 like that chill movement to it, which I really appreciate. Like, this is what I love about music, is trying to set, you know, trying to get a feeling across, and the feeling that I get is this guy is not trying to get around in a rush. He's very laid back, and the music really shows that, I think. And it's a fantastic theme, and I think it works really well with the type of character that he is in the game, and one of the more intelligent characters, and very, very just takes his time with things, stuff like that. So yeah, really good theme. Alright, let's finish up with one more track then, and we'll go from there. Alright, so lastly we're going to finish with Andy's theme. If you want, its actual name is Andy's Anthem. He's the only person who has a theme called Andy's Anthem in the entire game. It's kind of a running theme. And I think that this sums up the feel of the game very well. I think this track sums up how good the Game Boy Advance sound chip can be. Now, I'm sure people will disagree on that and stuff, but I think, to me, this is one of the best pieces of music I've ever heard from a Game Boy, from any handheld. You know, there is a DS version of this track, which is also good, but I think this sums up a lot of why I like this game in this piece of music. So, it's going to hit hard straight away. Like, there's a lot of slap bass in this. I'll try and break it down, but this is it's a proper gem. Already, alright, just on those 4 seconds, like, that drum beat's quite like, it's like quite complicated, and you're about to be hit with the slap bass and the guitar now, so I'm just going to bring it back. Focus on the bass line of this track, because it is actually insane what they're doing with the bass the entire track, and the bass is really the driving force in this track. This is very much more rock influenced again, but the bass line itself is this is why I think this track is so, I don't know, so well put together. I think the bass essentially is the star of the show in this piece of music. You got the guitars playing there, down, down. Very rocky. Everything I imagine in this track is played on an electric guitar. So that do 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 is like electric guitar. Now you get to hear like almost like a wow 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 noise played on a different one, but the bass the entire time is just like popping off. It's crazy. It's actually bonkers how good this track is. Like, the soundtrack for this entire game is amazing, but somebody clearly was like, well, this is the main character. The main character needs to sound heroic, which the piece of music does. It needs to be like very upbeat. It needs to like you're gonna hear it a lot. And the thing is, a lot of these tracks you are gonna hear a lot in the game, and you need them to be catchy and memorable and just generally fun to listen to. And this track screams that. It screams fun. It's very bouncy. The main character Andy, by the way, is this guy here with the wrench. He's a very like get up and go kind of character. Like it reflects his personality in the music, where he's like, no matter how bad things get, like, you know, he's like, now we can do this kind of thing, you know, like kind of typical main hero. I mean, all three of these guys are like the main characters, really, but Andy's the one that you kind of start with. He's not the most knowledgeable, he's not the most wise, but he's very enthusiastic, and I think the track shows that. And I think the bass, like I said, in this track is the star of the show, because it never stops hitting hard. Like, yeah, the guitar part's playing the main melody and all that, but the fact that you've got this slap bass just constantly going doom, that, and the drum beat never changes either. The drum beat pretty much stays the same, so you've got this massive driving force in this track. Now, being a turn-based game, like, you don't hear the track all the time. Like, a lot of the time, if you take your turns quite quickly, you're only going to hear the parts of it. When it switches to the enemy, you then hear their track. But I'll be honest, like, the music never gets in the way of the gameplay. It always just complements it. and the game would suffer a lot without it. But you know what? Just because I can, I'm just going to shut up now and just let this play, and yeah, just enjoy this track. Yeah, it's just incredible. It's an incredible piece of music, and say what you will about the Game Boy Advance sound chip, I just think that just shows off how good it can be. It's a fantastic piece of music, and honestly, like, Advance Wars is a series that I really enjoy. The other two games in the series, the DS one, that also has really good, like, has all the themes from the Game Boy Advance ones, just done with a different chip, plus new characters. There are a ton of characters in the games, and they all, for the most part, all have really good themes. I haven't. I only picked a few, one from each essential, like, actual team in the game. But then there's also the fourth game, which has very different music and different characters, and also has good music in itself. But I might cover that in a different video. But basically, I just want to be like, hey, this series is fucking amazing. This soundtrack to these games is fucking incredible. And you know what? Like, more people need to just hear it. You just need to hear this music, and yeah, I'm really glad that I can just sit here and just talk about it, because this is like a franchise that I absolutely love, and I wish Nintendo would bring it back. Just give me like an HD version of the first couple of games. Just bring this series back somehow. But yeah, there you go. There is some music from Advance Wars. I hope you've appreciated it. Hopefully you will go and listen to some of the other stuff in the game if you've never heard it. Just go and listen to the soundtrack for all the games. They're fantastic. So that's going to do it for me today then, guys. Thank you very much for watching as always. If you liked the video, hit like. If you want to see more content like this, then hit subscribe. Links for Facebook and Twitter will be down below in the description. And until next video, I will see you then.